I don't know.
I know.
Well, you know, I'm there, yeah.
I appreciate it very much.
You're inspired.
Calling the budget meeting for the city of Gerhart, May 14th, 2024 to order. Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for coming. I'm Paulina. Is there a declaration of any conflict of interest?
It just maybe me, because I'm on the board of the food bank, so I don't know if that's, but you know.
And I'm a volunteer with NCLC.
I am also.
So as long as there's no financial gain to you or any of your family, members, you're welcome to.
Minutes to the April 16th meeting. Do we have those?
They were sent out electronically.
Oh.
I did not see them. Has anybody read the minutes?
I think I did.
And how did you find them?
I don't think I have any concerns.
I did not see the electronic sending, but they were submitted to me. I reviewed them. I made a couple of grammatical corrections, very, very minor, and I approve.
Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
Can we do that, or would you prefer that we print them out real quick and everybody glance?
Either that, or we can take them to the June meeting at the council meeting, and the council meeting can approve them. The full, they already do this meeting because we don't meet again. So
What would make you feel most comfortable?
probably we can move them to June, since everybody really won't have a good chance to read them. We can give copies to everybody, and then if they have changes, they could suggest them to us so that we have them at the June meeting.
I move,
Jennifer's already done that, right?
I reviewed them, yes.
I move we move them. The reading of table them until June meeting, council meeting.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Next, we have the public hearing. This is the state revenue sharing portion of this public hearing. If to hear presentation from the folks who are here and would like to present on some of the applications that we've got submitted. To consider possible funding options. I'm going to read a statement. This is a public hearing regarding the state revenue sharing for the city of Gerhart fiscal year 2024-2025. Does anyone object to the jurisdiction of the budget committee to hear this matter at this time? Does any budget committee member believe he or she has a conflict of interest other than what was declared earlier?
No.
Is there any additional correspondence?
No.
Are there presentations by proponents? Do you want to go ahead then? And tell us your name and your address?
I nodded, so I guess I'm up, okay. All right, can people hear me okay? I guess I'm gonna stand up, it's a little easier to see everybody's faces. Hi, I'm Jana Ludwig. North Coast Food Web is my organization that put in a proposal. I'm the executive director.
What, should I be thinking? 3 minutes, 5 minutes? What?
Five.
Five, okay, all right, great. Okay, great. So it's good to be back with you. Last year we were in front of you talking about expanding our outreach and food access programs. We had a lot of success with that. The pilot program that y'all helped support last year ended up distributing 300 free food boxes to community members that came directly from local food producers. And the outreach has been successful enough that the demand for our services has gone way up. And so this year, what we are proposing using the funds for is actually streamlining and making more robust our business incubation services. So last year we had 23 businesses that were fully incubated in our commercial kitchen program. We have a lot of producers using our storage, a lot of producers using our technical assistance. And so those are the areas that we are focusing on this year. And again, it's in response to what we did last year with increasing our outreach. Just as a quick thought experiment, I want folks to think about what would happen if 26 got cut off, if 30 got cut off, and we couldn't get food from the I-5 corridor. We had a little moment of that. Some of you may have heard me refer to it as the great toilet paper debacle of 2020. When suddenly there was no food on the shelves. And we're vulnerable because of where we're located. And so we're really the only organization in the county that is working on increasing the robustness of our local food supply so that if we did for some reason get cut off again, which could happen for any number of reasons, that we would have food, we'd be able to access food and we won't be seeing those bare shelves again. And that means we need to be supporting our food entrepreneurs. It's very difficult to get a food business off the ground. It's expensive, and in the case of farming, land is expensive and hard to come by good farmable land around here. And so we're the organization that really supports both farmers and food entrepreneurs, which includes caterers, folks wanting to open a restaurant, somebody producing something like, we've got a guy in the kitchen right now who makes protein bars, folks who make salsa, bread, all that kind of stuff. So that's really where we're focusing this year, is on our food entrepreneurs and business incubation services. I'm also happy to stand in front of you this year and say that we've had an increase in Gerhardt participation in our programs over the last year. We have more businesses participating in incubation. We have more customers using our online farmers market, and we actually have a board member in Gerhardt now. So we feel like we're slowly but surely sort of increasing our connections with the local community here. And we'd love to have your support again. I also discovered when I went to look at our application that we had not fully filled out our W-9, so that has been rectified. You guys have gotten a fully filled out copy. Sorry about that. We caught it, our bad, we fixed it. Happy to take questions.
I have a question. I read all your material. I looked at your site. And do you have a building?
So we are renters right now in the Astoria Food Hub building where Bowie Beer is located.
Right.
Everybody knows Bowie is. So yeah, we're next to the beer people in Astoria Food Hub, but we're renters right now. We are engaged in a facilities needs assessment process right now and are looking to probably build our own facility in the next couple of years.
So what you do is you reach, according to what you said here, is you reach out to farmers, ranchers, and you so that they can bring their stuff through your facility to be distributed or sold out to businesses. Is that correct?
That's one of the things we do. That's one of our programs, is the online farmers market. But then we also have a commercial kitchen facility where we incubate businesses. So those folks that want to start a food business and can't afford to, put 50 to 80K into a commercial kitchen facility, they can work with our facility instead. And then we also do technical assistance and education.
In there, you talk about ranchers and you talk about fishermen. Are you licensed to buy and run that stuff through your facility?
We are, yes.
But I just, I guess there's, in my mind, there's a lot of questions, because everything I read, I didn't see a lot there for Gerhardt. And I'm still trying to weigh the difference between you being a distributor or something like the co-op in Astoria or something like cash and carry. That's the thing.
Yeah. So there's two differences. One is that we only work with local foods, and that's not true for anybody else. I mean, even the our farmers markets, the ones that run during the summer months, they're drawing from a lot further away than we are. So we're really focused locally. The other difference is that through our market, producers are getting 90% of what customers are paying as opposed to 40 to 50% when they have a contract through a regular grocery store. And so it really helps those small farms get financially grounded to be able to build their businesses.
And then if you have memberships have to pay to work with you,
So we take 10% of what is sold through the market, and you don't have to buy a membership or anything else to use any of our programs.
and then how many employees do you have?
We have 8.
Do you actually procure the product, or are you just, is your market just a conduit from the producer to the buyer?
So our market is primarily a conduit. We do buy directly from producers for a number of other programs that we do. When we put on an educational program and we're serving a meal as part of that, we're buying food for that. But that's a little bit different animal. With the market, it's really a pass-through. So we provide a platform, and they can have 5 pounds of beets, or they can have 2 truckloads of food, and our market can scale for whatever size business they are.
And I had a quick question on that. I respect the work that you do, and the incubation stuff is really exciting in the area. I did notice, based on your budget, that probably your expenses for salaried employees and your operation expenses account for the majority of your budget.
That's true. Yep.
And you're expecting probably to expand your incubation business and maybe move into a fee-based participation, or
So
what, how does that model evolve?
Yeah, so the incubation business, there's different parts of it have different fee structures. So technical assistance is free all the time. Our workshops for producers, our educational stuff is all free. So we don't charge anything for that, which means that we need to have that staff member getting paid from something other than those fees. For the actual kitchen incubation program, it's set up on a sliding scale. And so we have some people that are paying not quite market rate, and if they're a bigger business that has a lot of financial flow, and we have some people that are paying almost nothing to use that if they're really just starting out a business. And again, my theory, which is a little bit controversial, is that if we start making money on our programs, we're probably failing our producers, because our role is really to take them from micro to small businesses, and that jump is really difficult to do if you're having to pay full market rate for your facilities. So I don't know if that made sense or not, but.
No, it did. It's interesting because, obviously you're moving from an idea to something that could spring in later.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
What percent of your clients are for-profit business as opposed to low-income nonprofits?
Most of our food producers are low income, and most of them are structured as for-profit businesses. So we don't work with that many other there's not a lot of nonprofit food businesses in the area. So most of them are structured as for-profits, but most of them are small.
Then I have one more question.
Yeah.
And so you said that there's a chronic lack of fresh produce at local food pantries. Do you donate food to the local food pantries?
We do sometimes. Yeah, it depends on what is available for our producers. And so we sell what we can sell. If there are orders that aren't picked up, we do take that food to the food pantries. And we're working, for instance, right now with the senior center to be able to actually start distributing free food boxes through them. So we have a lot of partnerships with different food pantries and other entities that serve low-income community members, and every one of those partnerships is a little bit different in terms of what it is. But yeah, our free food boxes, we're distributing them both directly to people who order that through our market, as well as through some of those partners, including the food pantries.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Are you an LLC? I saw on some of that you mentioned that you were an LLC.
That is in there somewhere. That's a misspeak. No, we're a nonprofit. We're a 501c3.
Any other questions? Thank you, Jen.
Okay, thanks. All right, I'm gonna stay and listen to a couple of the presentations. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to make a presentation? Gentleman in the gray in the back.
My name's George Morena. I run the St. Vincent de Paul Food Pantry. Our pantry is in Deerheart at the North Coast Plaza. We've been there about 20 years. Looking for a little help. Our numbers are starting to climb again, and before COVID, we did about 270 to 300 families a month. And then it went down when they all had money. It went down to 80 or to 100 families. And now we're back up, we're averaging 200 families a month, and actually last month, we had 230 families, which is the most we've had in years. So we're asking for a little help from the city and to purchase food. We get most of our food from the food bank. The Classic Community Action, or the regional food bank. And Robert,
Yeah,
you came in,
right.
you came in,
And I think you need to say that you buy your food from the food bank,
yes.
correct?
Well, yeah, some is USDA, which is free, but everybody tries to get that.
Right. And then with when I was talking to the volunteers, they said that you buy from Costco for the toiletries and other items that you don't get.
Yes, and that gets a little more expensive.
Right.
We try to do as much. We have about 35 volunteers. Nobody gets paid. I mean, hopefully in the long run. That we do, but yeah, so Robert came in the last Friday of the month, which is when all heck breaks loose. And we had 47 families that we fed in the 2 hours. And
I will say I was very impressed. You even shine the apples, the tomatoes, all lined up. It's a very nice facility. You know, it's compact, but it's very clean and it's very well put together. And to have a director for the amount of years he's been there is very good.
so, yeah, I've been doing it. They told me it was 3 years and it's going on, well, just finishing 15, so.
Wow.
And then hopefully Chris is taking over and she'll be here at your meeting next year. But yeah, so we could use a little help. We spent $1,000 more on food for the first 4 months this year compared to last year. And like I said, the numbers are climbing. And it is good to see, I mean, people do need us and they don't, I truly believe most of them don't take advantage of us because we were so busy, and then when they got the money from COVID, all that, they didn't come see us and they didn't need us. And now it's changed again. So yeah, so we could use a little help, that'd be great. Any other questions?
So how do you find that people find out about you? How do people learn about you and come to your organization?
A lot of, from the new people, the food bank, they tell them to go to our pantry quite often. Yeah, family and friends, they do seem to network well
Okay.
together.
So you don't get any donations of materials, foods from retailers, for example?
Well, Safeway and Costco,
They
we
they
get
don't.
it's mainly produce,
Uh-huh.
and we get the
Stuff they're ready
one
to
day
take
before
away.
the pig farmer gets it.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, they give us quite a bit. So, like when Robert came in, we have 2 tents that we set up outside with tables and yeah, Costco normally it's 500 to 800 pounds of produce that they're giving us. Yeah, we have a very nice setup on that. And Safeway's more in the 100 to 200 pounds.
For what, week?
Costco we pick up on Fridays and Safeway we pick up on Mondays and Fridays.
Okay. So that's basically a week, those units.
Yes. Yes. Anything else?
I don't think so. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, council people, thank you for the opportunity to make our presentation today, and thank you for being good stewards of the taxpayers' dollar. I'm representing the little yellow house, the seaside house. And I'm Norm's apprentice. Norm will be leaving the state here shortly, so I'm going to be taking over presenting for a period of time. I want to share with you first some statistics that I gleaned from the Oregon Secretary of State's evaluation of Measure 110. It's pretty eye-opening. Currently, Oregon ranks number 2 in the adult rate of addiction in the country. And we're number 3 in teen addiction in the United States. We rank 50th in access to treatment and recovery. There are several treatment centers located on the coast here. And this statistic is pretty frightening. 40 to 60% of treatment graduates relapse within 30 days and 85% within a year. The Health Policy Institute estimates that conservatively, addiction costs the society $532 billion a year. We're making a request for the Seaside House, which is, to be clear, it's unaffiliated with any recovery groups. We are a building that is with a board of directors, and we're tasked with maintaining the building, the physical facility. And by contract, the rental with the church, we are only allowed to rent space and time to 12-step recovery groups. And I think in the evaluation of the application you received, there's 4 different recovery groups that have meetings there. There's 23 meetings a week, and roughly 300 to 400 people a week come through there. Currently, Gerhardt has no meetings available. So Gerhardt residents come down the seaside, as well as Cannon Beach comes up. We're the only recovery platform in Clatsop County. And so we're asking for money for this grant to redo the flooring. We've got an estimate in there that's going to be about $5,000 to do the flooring. And your homeowners, you know, the toll that the climate takes on your house and how you have to maintain it. So that's what the request will be for. Norm is here to answer any questions of a historical nature because he's been on the board much longer than I have. But I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
I'd like to say one thing. I know for 40 years you've been there. And when I looked at this, I thought, well, they must be needing money for coffee and cigarettes. But no, and I'd like to say it's a very good facility. And I know personally about 4 people from Gerhardt that have been there. And it's been long-standing, good facility, and it's you know, a place of last resort, so.
And to be clear, any grant money is not used for any operational purpose. We have different fundraising tactics that we use for our operational. And you can see the budget, it's really small. It's less than $25,000 a year. Yes.
I'm wondering on your budget, why you didn't include grant income? Because I would like to know how much money in grants you received last year.
The reason we do that is we've got guaranteed income or we rely on. So that's kind of what we're tracking in our budget. Treating grant money, which can come and go, is kind of not a windfall, but so that's an extra. So we keep that separate. But we did get about $7,000 last year in grant money. I think we made 2,700 to the positive. Without the grant money, we would have been about 5,000 to the negative. But to your point and someone else's, the little yellow house is probably, it's pushing 100 years old. And so, yeah, you could go up to it and push your finger through a few holes here and there. But you know, every year we patch it up, put a new roof on, new flooring, new kitchen, and we keep running, and hopefully we'll be running another 40 years. Because as Sandy said, we're really the hub. There just isn't a lot of meetings elsewhere. So yes, you'll find people from Gerhardt and Cannon Beach coming here, and we want to keep the doors open for that. It's something that's Sandy and I are both passionate about. The fellowship that the meetings provide keeps a lot of people clean and sober. And I would pretty much bet that some of you have experience with a family member, coworker, a boss, something. Because I like to think somewhere around 10% of the population has a severe drinking problem. And maybe 20% is getting there. So you're in a big room with a lot of people, or a city. You know, if your city is 6,500 people like Seaside, there are a lot of people that need our
I
services.
think there was a gentleman that went through there years ago, he still is, and he's a national speaker now. And here at the convention, he's always here. He's spoken nationally at the conventions.
Wow.
Yeah,
We've
something to be proud of.
And we have it's a separate group, but people that run the North Coast Roundup, which is a big event every April, brings in about 1,500 people. It would be 2,000 or 3,000 if the fire marshal would cut us some slack. But they come from all around, and some people are waiting for the registration to open up. That group rents a room or rents a time slot from us so they can plan and put it all together. And just part of the overall impact, I think, that the Little Yellow House has on the local area.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. Presentations. I'm going to start in the back again.
Hi, it's great to be here. I know a few of you. My name is Cassia Nye. I am the Development Director at North Coast Land Conservancy. We are a nonprofit environmental group, and we work between Astoria and Lincoln City to protect and care for important coastal habitat. I've had the honor of presenting here. This is my third time. I brought my phone and I have it open to ask questions I do not know the answers to. I have only been there less than 3 years. It's, I won't go into, I love my job so much. But the organization is almost 40 years old. So there is a lot that I am yet to learn. But I am here because we are in a very special place. This Neocoxy corridor is quite incredible, and we are in the process of, we usually don't say restoring habitat because the ways it changes, you can't reverse exactly. What we do like to say is that we rehabilitate important habitat. A lot of that is riparian, right along the river, and a lot of it is coastal plains, where we are trying to enhance the habitat to entice pollinators, specifically birds, bats, bees, butterflies. Last year, I was talking about the Oregon silver spot butterfly. It used to have a population out here, but currently there are only 3 populations in the state, and it does not include this prairie lands here in your heart. But we are working really hard to bring it back. We have a robust volunteer network who help us. Our staff is 15, and it takes a lot of time to help create those events and inform the general public as well as our volunteers about where to be and when and what's going on and what gear to wear. But it ends up being a lot of fun. Last year, we planted some early blue violets, which are the host species for this rare and endangered butterfly. And they are doing really well. It turns out that all of the elk actually help enhance the habitat too for those blue violets, for hopefully the butterfly reintroduction. We also remove quite a number of invasive species. There's ivy and Scotch broom and other things I think that are listed on the application that I had to find out from our stewardship director, Melissa Reich. So that is why I am here, is to request support for this habitat rehabilitation. in the Gerhart area. And we do have, I don't think I mentioned, we have about 200 acres in Gerhart of conserved land. Okay, I'm ready for questions. I can try.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, I recently heard that the US Fish and Wildlife is also working on a Clatsop County, well, actually, all Clatsop County project where they're trying to reintroduce some of the butterflies. Are you working with them too? Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
Sam,
Sam Berenbacher, yeah,
Yeah.
she is fantastic. We are so lucky to be strengthening our relationship with you, Fish and Wildlife. Last spring, I actually went up, before Saddle Mountain was reopened. And I mean, it was just as you imagine, it was like backpacking backpacks full of like deli containers, each with 10 Oregon silver spot caterpillars in them. And we hike up to Saddle Mountain because this is one of the few areas that they do live. And we had, I don't know, 20 volunteers, 30 volunteers on the slopes, like balancing, using tweezers, because you don't want, accidental sunscreen or bug spray to like get on these very sensitive caterpillars. So you use tweezers and you take them out and you have to find the early blue violets, which have these like beautiful heart leaves. And then you place each caterpillar on the leaf, and there were like thousands that we did. It took all day. It was exhausting. I was not one of the volunteers that went all the way to the top because I was so tired. I just went back down. And then there are experts who come out. What a great way to volunteer. They sit there and they count butterflies. And so they know how many, like how successful it was. From 2 years ago to last year, it was not an incredible success rate on that specific site. So they're learning from that. And we want to take what they learn and apply it here, hopefully someday soon.
and one follow-up question on that is, how do you think your organization can really improve neocoxy for all wildlife?
I mean, one of those is gonna be in removing these invasive species, especially on the prairie land. It's very special land. It's actually, climate-wise, very similar to Northern California, just because of the way the plains were made by the ocean so many millions of years ago. And so it's very unique habitat, but when something like snatch broom is there, really the best way to kill it is to shade it out. Well, we're not gonna plant trees on the dunes, that's not the spot for them, they are prairie land. And those, they're so beautiful and so hardy, those Scottsburn. There's an internal debate right now, so if you know the actual answer, let me know, let my colleagues know. And so that's just one example, and English ivy for the trees that are there, it will suffocate the trees. And so we're removing that. And so it really is this invasive species management, which creates the space for the native plants and then all the critters that accompany them.
And then one last suggestion, just because your group, there's a lot of land that you own.
Yeah.
And I just think there's an opportunity for community outreach on that. So I know that's talking about taking staff dollars and spending money to do that, but I think there's a greater interest in the community about learning more about these riparian areas that is an opportunity for you in the future to better communicate.
I love that. In fact, we just created a position as the Community Outreach Programs Director. That's Lynette Villagomez, and so I will give her your name. Yeah, thank you for volunteerism. Yeah, we do actually quite a number of events, and if you're not on our newsletter list, you're probably not hearing about it. We are trying to do this. We're very good at taking baby steps, so sometimes it takes a while. But our website did just get refreshed last year, and it has a very good events section down at the bottom. And there are a lot of free walks and a lot of volunteer opportunities too that are right here in town. Yeah. And anyone else?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Linda Weiss, and I'm the current president of the board of the Trail Stand Art Association, your neighbor across the street. And we are, in case you're not familiar with this, a nonprofit art organization with a mission to provide educational opportunities in the arts, to foster creation of original art, and enhance the enjoyment of art in the community. There are approximately 63 members at this time, and we are an all-volunteer organization. And next year, we will be celebrating our 75th anniversary. And 73 of those years will have been spent right here in the park. And you may have read on there that we do bring in most of our income from, or the greater share of it from our membership dues and also from the workshops that we provide both to our members and to the public at a fee. And we're looking to purchase a large screen, Zoom app compatible TV as an educational device because as fallout from the pandemic years, many of those nationally known artists who used to travel around and conduct workshops are doing them all online. So we would be able to provide, once again, not just drawing from our local community of artists as instructors, but also to bring in some of the well-known artists to provide workshops online for which we would charge a fee. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And I think you're next.
Fantastic, thank you. Hi, good evening. I'm Darren Gooch. I'm with the Sunset Park and Recreation Foundation. I'm really thankful for the opportunity to be here and speak to you guys tonight. Just kind of a quick follow-up. You might remember our presentation last year. We had Mary Blake and a Pacifica student, Logan Dennis, that had come and talked to you about the project that we were working on last year. And that was the 6 new diving blocks at Sunset Pool. Really excited to report back to you on that project. The committee actually met their fundraising goal in August of last year. That was to raise the $30,000 necessary to purchase and install those new diving blocks. We had them ordered in the first part of September. There was a rather long lead time on getting those. But during our annual shutdown of the pool in October, we were able to get the anchors installed. You got to cut into the concrete, I guess, and put some special stuff down in there and anchor those in so they don't, topple over and fall in the pool. So they were able to accomplish that during our annual shutdown, and the units did finally arrive in late November. And they were in place and secured and ready to go for the Seaside High School's first swim meet of the year on December 15th. So that was really, really exciting. Unfortunately, Logan had graduated back in last June. So he did not get an opportunity to compete with the new block. So I'm not sure if he could have shaved that, 10th of a second off of his time or not. But it was really exciting to see that project come to fruition, and it was in part thanks to your support last year. This year, I come to you once again talking about our scholarship program that we have done every single year since I've been a part of the district. I'm pretty well involved in the scholarship program itself. You get to see the day-to-day operations. I talk to a lot of the scholarship recipients on a regular basis. And it's absolutely amazing to me to see the amount of value that those folks find in the program. I did include in your packet sort of a breakdown of how the scholarships are allocated throughout the different program areas. And so this is the first time I've actually sat down and really put something like this together for the scholarship program. Didn't really surprise me though, that the youth programs really is the lion's share of the scholarship program, 83%. My wife and I were talking one night not too long ago about back when we were younger and both going to school and working full time, and we had 3 children, and how expensive it was to find good childcare for them. I think we spent at the time, this was back in late 90s, early 2000s, it was $300 per child. So I'm not sure what that equates to dollars today, 500, 600 or something like that. But yeah, a lot of parents looking for a good, safe environment for their children to be in. Also, we added in October of 2022, we added infant and toddler care to our repertoire of youth programs. So we currently have 4 infants and 5 toddlers that are taking part in that program. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at for this year, looking for some support with our scholarship program. My board of directors for the foundation actually just met with them today in their committee for fundraising. So they're working on a wonderful new fundraiser. You might remember last year, we held the Ship and Saver, the final voyage in May. The board felt it was kind of time to retire the dinner auction format. So they got some really great ideas. I won't put those out there yet. I won't let the cat out of the bag, but they've got some really neat ideas for a scholarship fundraiser for this year. So, yeah.
Now, our scholarships, is that a percent base, or do you give a 50% scholarship? Or?
Yeah, discount on programming. Most of them typically are 50%. But it really depends on, we follow the USDA guidelines for poverty level, basically the same thing that most food banks follow to determine eligibility. So
are there any Gearhart residents that get the scholarships?
Yeah, about 15%. And I went back and I looked back about 5 or 6 years and averaged that out. Some years it's been 14%, 15, 16, 13, but it was about an average of 15%. It was 15% last year, almost on the dot. Yeah.
And it looked like it was right about the amount that you already was still.
Yeah.
Well, pretty close.
Pretty close.
So I'm gonna talk about the food bank as well.
Yes. That's
I
why
have
I
a
asked.
question about this. So I understand this graph a little bit better now. The youth programs you're talking about, things like the after school program.
Yeah.
Or programs for kids who are too young for school,
Correct.
summer programs, those kinds of things.
Exactly. All of those.
Okay, and I've been there to hear all the happy kids, so I can hear it going on. What are passes?
Those are for the first like swimming and using the fitness room.
And for those, are those for kids or for adults?
I can tell you just kind of anecdotally that most of all of those are adult seniors that are living on a fixed income that don't have really a lot of money to purchase a house.
So their application for this is similar, it's an income-based application.
Correct.
And you're telling me that a number of seniors take advantage of this?
Yes.
And they can attend yoga and use the fitness gym and all of that kind of thing?
Exactly.
All right, good, thank you.
Any other questions about the scholarship program?
Okay, put on my other hat.
All right.
Good evening, I'm Darren Gooch. I am the current board president of the South County Community Food Bank. I think George mentioned, started out as, I'll be the board president for about a year, and that was 4 or 5 years ago. So I have one board member that keeps telling me that he was president for 13 years, so I know that's a threat. But really excited, just as kind of a quick follow-up, I think I did include this piece in your packet as well. It's kind of a follow-up piece that I give to my board members at the end of every year. Kind of covers January through December. So yeah, last year we had 2,279 households that came through looking for food assistance. That was 7,495 people in those homes. 33, it's an average of 33 volunteers. We have a little closer to 40 volunteers. Some go away for the summer months and then come back to us in the fall and winter time. But they put in a pretty amazing amount of hours, about 4,821.75. If you can kind of look down through the amount of food that we had donated, our 2023 total of food donations, 144,271 and a half pounds. That's not including the food that we purchased and received through the regional food bank, which was another 57,026 pounds. So we had 201,297.5 pounds of food go through our food pantry last year. So really amazing amount of food. We were able to complete one of our big projects last year. So again, thank you for your support last year. Back in 2022, we had a new floor put into our pantry. The old tiles were kind of popping up in different places. So we had a new floor installed. And in July this last year, we were able to finally make a move and replace a lot of old refrigerators and freezer units back in the back part of our pantry. That's where we store all of our frozen and refrigerated products. It was really exciting to be able to do that. We were able to buy 4 commercial double door stainless steel commercial style freezers and 2 refrigerators. It was about a $50,000 project. But it probably almost tripled our capacity. Because once in a while we come across some really neat opportunities. And I think it was early last summer that we had a phone call from one of the producers up in Astoria. They had about 50 or about 5,000 pounds of fish, frozen fish that they wanted to know if we could use. And we said, sure. So occasionally we come across really good opportunities like that. Once in a while, the regional food bank will have an amazing amount of something. I remember they were processing game animals up there for a short period of time, and they had elk and a lot of it. And we, couldn't take full advantage of that. We didn't have the freezer space for it. And so the old freezer units were constantly popping the breakers too. So we'd come in on Monday morning and find that, 2 freezers had gone down and we lost it's a pretty valuable, protein. And so that was a really exciting project for us to complete. And so this next year, we're looking at doing a few maintenance things around the pantry. We did have to, in January, have the roof replaced after our ice storm. Who knows, something happens, I'm not a roof expert, but it did start leaking in about 3 or 4 places. So we did have to have that replaced. But we're looking at getting the outside or exterior cleaned and painted on the building, trying to protect that exterior envelope of our building, and hopefully looking at doing something a little different with our shelving inside, trying to increase a little bit of our storage capacity there. So. Yeah.
So you had this large $50,000 expenditure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it left you with a roughly $33,000 deficit.
Yeah, it's a good thing we have some money in the bank. So yeah, we had some savings that we were able to draw from. So it didn't impact us favorably.
I have a question.
Yes.
And if I'm asking you to repeat yourself, I'm sorry, but who are your clients? Who do you serve?
Anyone that falls below the USDA guidelines for poverty, again, we never ask for any income verification. It's all self divulged, I guess. They come in, they sign the form. I think George had a really amazing point earlier that, most people, if they're walking up to your pantry needing assistance, they generally do. You don't tend to find people really, taking advantage of that system, but USDA doesn't allow us to ask for any proof or documentation of income.
So it's all ages, families, seniors, everyone. Are you delivering to anyone?
No, we don't deliver. We do have some understandings with local taxis. And if a person does need a ride down to the pantry, they can call up one of the services, and they usually do that and provide that for free. Also, a lot of our folks will have a friend or someone else that's coming down that will pick up their product for them as well. So.
And do you have any outreach to the homeless in the Seaside area?
No, not any direct outreach. Most of those folks do come and visit us at the pantry.
I have a question.
Yes.
We have, so we have requests from the regional food bank, the Gerhart Pantry, and then yours.
Yeah.
And we're looking at a shortfall of what we have to give based, with what's been requested. So can you just explain a little bit more to me, how things flow from the county to you? And I understand that the St. Vincent de Paul is a separate entity doing similar work.
Right.
Just explain the relationship between the South County and the.
Yeah. So we are all considered partner agencies as part of the regional food banking system. So you can see CCA is sort of the umbrella for this region of Oregon. They of course are under the Oregon Food Bank, which then falls under the USDA federal umbrella. So products tend to trickle down from that federal down to the Oregon Food Bank, dispersed out to the regional food banks. Regional food banks then work with their partner agencies, so St. Vincent de Paul, South County Food Bank, Cannon Beach Food Pantry, Warrenton Food Pantry, the food pantries up in Astoria, which I think there are about 3. So all of his partner agencies sort of work together. Our hours of operation on Tuesdays and Thursdays from, about 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. sort of work in tandem with the, St. Vincent de Paul, their hours.
So we do Monday and Friday, and
Yeah,
Beach does Wednesday.
So we all try to be open at a little different time. Folks can go to St. Vincent de Paul. They can also come in and visit us. They can go down to Cannon Beach and get food down there if need be. So I think St. Vincent de Paul is the same as us, the only one visit per month. Yeah, so.
Hopefully.
Say that again.
Yeah, so, the folks can come in once a month to receive a 3 to 5 day supply of emergency food. So kind of working it that way, folks can come to us if they need help, toward the end of the month. We can also go to St. Vincent de Paul. They can also go to Cannon Beach.
So you're not seeing the same people week after week. They can only come once a month.
Correct, once a month, yeah. But we tend to see the same people from month to month. And it tends to be around the same time every month. So people's food stamps tend to run out, toward that end of the month. So the end of the month is usually a little busier.
But that person can go to a different pantry, any
Correct.
pantry once a month.
Correct. Yeah.
Where is your pantry located?
We are at 2041 South Roosevelt, just opposite the old high school, right next to the bus park.
Right, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So are you gonna be taking care of the houses behind you?
No. Folks there can come to our pantry once a month. So, yeah.
I just had a comment, and when the question was asked, did we deliver? We do have the community service officer from Seaside Police come in twice a month to pick up food for the homeless at Mill Pond. And he usually comes in twice and takes about 20 packets of 20 packets of emergency food, which he delivers to the mill pond, so that's a delivery service.
It is. Thank you.
Didn't mean to butt in, no, please, but I did.
Jump in anyway.
I have one quick question.
Yeah, sure.
And on the, I mean, I noticed that wages are 40% of your income, your budget.
Yeah.
But, so how are you working to also get additional volunteers that maybe can offset some of the employee expense?
Yeah, well, Jenny started with us as a volunteer, and was very highly recommended by her fellow volunteers that, you know, we should hire a staff person. And Jenny spends a lot of time just, you know, coordinating those volunteers just to make sure everybody's where they need to be. She goes and does pickups. So yeah, it's yeah, we kind of have a standing contract with her for about, you know, 20 hours a week. And but yeah, she's absolutely invaluable. I can't imagine going back to just fully volunteer based, and not having a staff person there to help coordinate, to help recruit new volunteers, get them trained, and all of the millions of things that she does that I'm probably not even really fully aware of. So.
All right, I guess just bless you because
Yeah.
volunteers sometimes don't show up for work. And so, but increasing that outreach for additional people to offset that expense.
Yeah.
Could be.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Is there anybody else who is a proponent and wants to make a presentation?
Christie, is there anybody online?
There's not.
No? Are there,
She said there is one, or she said there was one?
there's none. And are there any presentations to be done by opponents? Hearing none. We already asked about additional presentations. We've asked questions. I'm going to close the public hearing and open public comments on the proposed budget, programs and services. Do we have anybody signed up to speak? If there anybody in the audience that wants to talk about our budget, programs and services? Seeing none. I'm gonna close the public comment. We're gonna move on then to the budget committee discussion on proposed programs and services.
Pauline, just before everybody leaves, can we just thank everybody for their work and their presentation?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Yes.
What do you guys want?
We're gonna get to you guys.
Do they have a grant conference?
Is there any additional city staff input?
Not at this time, other than we do have our two chiefs here, fire and police, available to answer any questions that you might have. They're prepared to talk about their next year and give you information as you need.
Okay. I guess I'm still focused on this, so,
You can get there through conversations if needed.
yeah. So we need to talk about the allocations in front of us on this page for the state revenue sharing grant donations. To my knowledge, I think we have requests that are about 22,590-ish dollars more than we have to spend, and that's calculating fully funding celebration and materials and the mayor's discretionary grant. Without that.
Pauline, one quick question, just
Is the mayor not asking for additional dollars?
I am.
He is. He's asking for the same as last year, 500.
No, actually, I'm asking for $2,500 this year.
Am I misreading
Why?
it?
No, requested, but I'm making a request now for $2,500.
Too late. for application.
Well, it's right here, it says 500.
I know, but someone put that in before they talked to me.
Okay, what's your pitch?
Oh, I just want some extra money so it can be spread around if we have a homeless situation that turns up and we can maybe mitigate it more quickly. Which would be the proper English in this. I don't have my wife here.
To my knowledge, we put some money in the police chief's budget for just that a year or two ago.
Community care, I think there's $3,000 in there, and that was the purpose of that.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, is going away.
I think
No, it's still in
it
there.
was reduced.
It was correct.
Oh, okay.
I think it was reduced.
But that's the only reason I'm requesting the $2,500.
It's 2,000.
So,
Yes.
you know, that's why. Just to make things move along a little more quickly, if I can help. You know, what the chief does. He may come upon someone at night, parked in a car that needs a hotel. I may come up upon someone who's parked in the middle of the street. Or on a street. That is starting to disrobe. And needs a hotel.
Call the policeman.
Okay. If that's the way you feel, that's the way you feel.
Budget meetings getting more fun.
Are we gonna have to separate you two?
We
No.
have up on the screen, the same spreadsheet so that we can try to move forward and there are lots of ways of approaching it, of how allocations go. If you take all of the requests, it is over. But, if you take all of the requests except maybe 3 of the largest and you reduce those, you still could have the majority having the amount that they actually requested. But you can also give more if you feel like.
And if you took the last year and awarded it down, then you'd have extra and you would put it someplace, or if you even took somebody off there, you would have that money and it would go in a fund, or how does that work?
It would stay in that fund for beginning fund balance for the next year. Yeah.
And so if the mayor needed some money, you could grab it out of that.
Yeah.
I don't care.
May
You know,
may I ask what the celebration materials?
So that had been traditionally used for the street dance. The city participates in supporting the street dance, so we have to pay partial. She does a budget and presents information that's the city's obligation if the councilor so chooses. So we've been paying it out of that.
And then that's signs also this year, isn't it?
It can be, yes.
Would that
would
be signs? Remember last year we had the 4th of July signs reminding everybody to keep the beaches clean and things like that? We bought some great ones last year, but we ended up we were shuffling them around at the last minute. We had firemen running around, shuffling them around, so we'd have them on the fire truck for the 4th of July parade. So we need a couple more signs this year. And that'll come out of that.
Okay, how much are the signs, do you know?
I asked you that and I don't remember.
I think that all of the signs, weren't they like 1,200?
Yeah, they're
All
not
the
bad at all.
signs.
They're not bad at all. And we only need a couple.
Right. So
yeah.
that's what I mean, so that's a small amount,
Right.
the 3,000. So my question is, why did it double?
Because we added the 4th of July celebration signs. in there this year,
Right, but if we only need 2 more signs.
but we added more to the street dance continues to get larger. Before we only helped with one, now she wants us to help with, I can't remember, maybe the DJ and the face painting or some other thing. We split the cost with her homeowners association.
I think that'll have to be part of our conversation is what her expectations of us should be, or if we create a limit.
Yeah, I just feel like we could, probably get some citizen input on all the people who participate in the street dance. They probably would be happy to give us $10 for everybody that comes there or whatever. I mean, we're looking at these not-for-profit entities that are like doing really, really important work in our community. That's just why I'm asking, because I'm kind of weighing priorities here, which we're gonna have to do since we don't have enough monies.
Right,
So-
yeah, celebrating a different.
What's, do you know what she's asking for this year? 1,500 again?
I think so, I think so.
Okay, good. I think that you could probably reduce that number down to 2,000 then, because I know our signs aren't gonna cost more than 500, but we also did have, we might have some additional expenses with garbage cans and things like that. We're growing our response this year to also that's in that big consider, right? And those dumpsters are not cheap. But
Just, what's the difference in I'm sorry,
no, yeah, go ahead.
the difference in the column approved BC and approved CC, DC approved.
Budget.
Budget committee and the customer. So have we approved $3,000?
No.
Oh.
No,
It's just up on there.
it's just up on there because we kind of allocated those. The
Okay.
council's already approved participating with
Okay.
the, if
So
you
that's
guys.
a preliminary approval.
And if you don't want it there, we would have to
Okay.
find it out of the general fund, because they have committed to participating in already with the council and approved.
Right.
So we were just.
So we can
hoping-
still dicker about the dollars.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Could we just throw out there and just say, could we put 2,000 in there as a placeholder instead of 3,000?
Absolutely.
And then let's keep moving on. To the next one is the mayor's discretionary grant.
Well,
Give him the 1,000 plus the 500, so he's got 1,500.
There you go.
Okay, but I still say it should follow the list.
He laughed, he made him leave.
Paulina, can I clarify something?
If you're a nice guy, you put it on in your house or your house next door.
So the 48,210 at the bottom
Yeah.
is what Justine, I believe, is suggesting to us as our allocation, and it will leave $5,000 in an unappropriated ending fund balance. Which you recommend we should like. to
I
do.
would highly
So-
recommend that.
So the budget really is 53,210, five there, and we actually can distribute, you're recommending distributing 48,210.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Could, would it be horrible if it came out to 48,500?
I think that I would be very cautious to go over there, only in the sense where a budget doesn't mean we actually have that money in the bank. And so if you start allocating more than we get revenue in, they're not going to get it in.
No, I mean 48,500 instead of 48,210. Would that be bad?
Well, what I'm saying is that I think that we will have $48,210. I don't know if we'll have 48,500, depending on if all the revenue comes in.
So let's just aim for 48,210.
One thing that we did last year, and this was Eric's suggestion, is we took off the celebration materials, took off the mayor's discretionary grant, and then determined how much we would have left, and then reduced everybody by a percentage, unless we felt strongly that somebody should be reduced by more. And then, so we went through and said, okay, and last year we had priorities. Our priorities were the unhoused, because that was we had some people that came in and did presentations that were real helpers for us, and that we need to continue to rely on them in the
So
future.
are we gonna go down through each one of them now? As far as
I was
allocation?
gonna go
Yeah.
down
Okay.
through each one.
And if you, we put an example together, Christy, can you change it to the example for us? So if you took an example and you met everybody what they wanted, we could reduce the celebration and material to 2,000 and increase the mayor's.
Discretionary.
The three that do not get fully funded are the,
The CASA.
those
CASA.
three. Those are the three that did not get fully funded. Everybody else, 100% of what they asked for, they received.
So Helping Hands will get. what
Well,
was
that was just, this is just an example,
Oh,
so you could take those three and you could work them, they asked for the most amount of money. And if you wanted to look at it as, you know, we have limited resources. Are people asking for appropriate amounts of money based on our budget? You could make adjustments to those three.
I can't read that, sorry.
You can't?
No.
Well,
Can you-
I can read it for you.
Thank you.
CCA,
Yeah.
they're asking for 10,000, she has 4,705. I personally rounded them down to 5,000. CASA requested 6, she's doing 5 there on the example. And Helping Hands is requesting 20 and she put 3,705.
Wait, 3,705. 3,700?
And 5.
That's less than they got last year.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of extra, I mean, over the years, we've increased this donation amount threefold from what we used to.
And again, just an example, this was just, we thought, okay, we could meet the majority of them, but these three, we cannot meet, you know, they're more money. And maybe they're worthy, maybe they should get 20,000 and then you can reduce.
But what about the food hub? Everything I've read, they're just a distribution. You know, and it doesn't involve really a lot in Gerhart. It's not. I mean, I have a real hard time with that one. And I personally went there myself and asked where the food hub was, and they said, well, they've got an office here and a little kitchen over here, and other than that, I don't know.
So if you think it would be better to go down a blank sheet, we absolutely can do that.
So, question, so Helping Hands, don't they do a lot of housing stuff?
No.
You gotta look at the
Well,
document on Helping Hands. They claim they've got, 65 full-time employees at BB Lake, but they only have one bed.
But the other thing is.
Well, they've got 24 beds at J Barber.
That's supposed
Opening
to,
soon.
yeah, April 1st, but no one's said anything.
I have never seen the big house that they're talking about open. They say online that they're supposed to be open April 1st. But I drive by there 6:30 in the morning, I drive by in the afternoon. Neither place is open, but they do have it open for homeless people to get coffee or something in the morning. But other than that, nothing. You know? And I'm often amazed, I drive by there intentionally to see if the big house is open, but it's not, you know. So I think, personally, I think it's excessive.
Josh, Chief Gregory, do you know anything about what they are or aren't doing?
Helping Hands,
Yeah.
they've been around for a long time. Alan Evans, does some good work. He's got a very big operation that, as far as what he does in Gerhart, it's not exactly, I don't know exactly what his office does here. I know that he had the homes, the men's shelter and one women's shelter that was at Seaside for years. Those have since closed, and he has the outreach center that's still active. Is that the building you're talking about? I don't see a lot of people there.
You guys have an office over here.
Right on the Northwest Plaza.
But I've driven by many times just to see and stop in and check, and I've never found it open, you know.
Have you been able to, in the past, last year, we were told that they had responded when, the former chief had called them when they would occasionally need some help, you know, finding a location. Have we had any opportunity to use them in the last year? Have they helped
No,
us?
not to my knowledge. I know in the past, it's been when they had the home in Seaside, it was a good opportunity for us to say, hey, this person's, they wanted them sober, right? They had to be sober. There's a criteria that need to be met. But when they met that criteria, they were typically able to take those, people in and give them a place to sleep. But I can't, to my knowledge, say that we've used the Helping Hands, service since I've been here.
I just want to point out they were here tonight to answer our questions.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like the money is important to all of these people, and a lot of people that were here tonight gave up their time to be here. And I've known Alan for 25 years, and I've written grants for his organization. Somebody should have been here, just to be here, but he wasn't here last year or the year before either. And I think if you're writing a grant, you should really be here to present it.
Well, they did get quite a bit of money this year for their organization in
Yeah.
Portland. All
Yes.
the way down. I mean, I'm
Yes,
talking a great amount of money, so,
and he deserves it, but they weren't here. And that's,
well,
just letting you know, that's my own personal thing.
On top of the fact, asking for $20,000,
I know.
they come make a
If you-
pitch.
You're asking for so much
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should come here and explain why you're asking for so much.
Exactly, and like I said, I like Alan, we've been friends for years and years.
Yeah.
I want to regroup and skip over celebration materials and mayor's discretionary grant for a moment. Let's talk about NCLC.
They were here.
They were here. They requested 2,000.
Let's do it.
Let's
Do we
do it.
want to fund them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a consensus?
No. It's not that I don't want to give them money, but my priorities are getting humans over the service that they do. So I'm not saying that we give them nothing, I'm just fully funding them and then reducing some, you know, a food pantry doesn't sit right with me. That's not my priority.
I'll just say that sort of tried to compare both, the North Coast Land Conservancy and the Canada Watershed Council. And the Watershed Council, we actually had them do work here in Gerhart. And the comparison between the two, the watershed seems to do more than the Northwest Land Conservancy. Northwest Land Conservancy has a lot of property, period. And, you know, the rest of it is on the lower end of what they do, so. I'm more apt for the watershed version.
I think some of the work they're gonna do in the future will be more beneficial than what they're doing today. Right now, they're sitting on a lot of land and not a lot of effort into the land.
That's not true.
Well,
I'm a land steward for the North Coast Land Conservancy, and there's a lot of volunteers who help steward the land that they have.
and I apologize, I meant from Gerhart and back.
There's properties right here in
Yeah,
Gerhart.
there's a lot of property in Gerhart.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of property, but activity wise.
Well, no, for example, tomorrow, we're gonna go out and cut Scotch brew down at Pinehurst.
Okay,
And last Saturday, there were people cutting Scotch brew down at Shamrock Pines, Shamrock right off of 101. So the properties that they have in Gerhart, throughout that's up Pines, all of them are being managed.
Monitored and managed.
Right, all of them,
So,
on a regular basis.
and I guess I was meaning that they were doing more activity in other areas than Gerhart.
Well,
What I've observed,
Right,
per person.
right. But you have to look at the environment as a larger piece than specifically how does it benefit your heart per se. In terms of land conservation, they're looking at networking, you know, large pieces of property together and trying to tie them together, of which Gerhart is a central piece of their holdings. So it's all part of a bigger piece, but Gerhart counts for a lot of it, actually.
And I don't want to be perceived as not saying they're of value in receiving funds, because I truly believe they are. And I think it will increase over the next couple of years. The need, because of what I've heard from the US Fish and Wildlife coming into the Clatsop Plain in a greater role than they've done already. We've lost a lot of species that since back in 94 or so, when initial assessments were made. So there's more work to be done, and it just seems like sort of this is a maintenance request right now.
So would it be all right if we held a spot for it
Yeah.
at 2 and then could come back?
That would be, to me, logically to me, we start with, the humans that rely on this money, and then we figure out what we have left to give to the others.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree with that. I think that having open lands that are cared for and valued is a huge benefit to all of us humans. So I do disagree with that.
It's part of what makes Gerhart so wonderful in my estimation. But hearing some folks aren't comfortable with the 2,000, can we just put a placeholder in there at 1,500 and keep moving on, and then we'll reconcile at the end if we have to.
Agreed.
Okay, I'm gonna skip Cedar. They didn't put an application in, neither did Behavioral Health. And Trails End is the next one on our list. They requested 1,800. I don't recall what that was exactly for.
Big TV and a Zoom
Oh,
system.
big TV. Is there a recommendation out there to fully fund that?
Yeah, I think it's less than we gave them last year. And they're asking for less, and it's for a specific purpose. I'm all for it.
Any dissent from that opinion?
No, just that I remember that part of what we provided last year was to rebuild some parts of the building.
Right,
Yeah, so bathroom.
And the whole idea of this modernization thing for them and being able to conduct some kind of events virtually, I think it's a good idea. I mean, it's modern with the times, so, but again, it's inviting people in to participate.
So the 1,800 then, okay?
I'm okay with 1,800. I would go as low as 1,600 if we needed to find someplace.
Okay. Little Yellow House, Seaside Hall, they're requesting 2,000. That was for new flooring.
Yes, I think that's
That's,
very worthwhile.
they're the only game in town for that, and that's huge.
Any dissent from that?
Nope.
We'll do the 2,000. Mechanicum Watershed Council, 3,500 they've requested. That is pretty specific from what I read to, work, on the ridge path or the neocoxy, and it's mostly invasive, plant removal.
Yeah, last year they did the pollinators.
Right, they did the ridge path clearing and then they planted.
Right. And it's sort of, I mean, I just sort of read in that both that and the land conservancy were sort of looking at the same thing other than the preservation part, land. But yeah, we had, I think last year they did that pollinator, because Eric was down there.
Yep.
Working his heart out.
And so is Dana. And I think Sharon dug some plants out there, invasive stuff.
Yeah, it was hard work.
So Mechanicum Watershed Council, they've requested 3,500. Is that too much?
It seems a little high to me.
Proportional discount on what you did to the North Coast lands.
Yeah.
Which was a quarter.
Well, last
So-
year they both got the same amount.
Yeah.
And this year they're asking for more than double. Whereas the NCLC only asked for an extra $500.
And they weren't here.
Yeah.
And they weren't here.
And don't get me wrong, like you
Yeah.
said, I
Right.
believe in what they're doing, and I see the value for Gerhart in it. Just, we can't give everybody all of the money that they ask for.
Why don't you give them $2,000?
Okay.
the way I approached this, and I did this last year, is I went through and I gave monies and I added up what I had and I adjusted according to what the total was that I had. So, I went through and wrote all my monies down and I came up with 48.5, which is why I was asking you that question. So I'd be willing, obviously, to cut back somewhere, but I did give them 3,000 instead of 3,500. So
Is 3,000 okay with everybody for right now?
For right now, yeah, but if when
But I hear what you're saying.
that's a little high.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I agree.
I agree that it's too high.
Did we say 25%?
The fact is, their plans for this year, we did the pollinator project.
It was to do grant writing, it
Right.
looked like to me.
So, describe how funds will specifically using Gerhart. They've begun conversations with the city of Gerhart officials on developing restoration plans for the Mtg2 system and other habitats. Funds will be used for their staff to continue developing grant proposals to bring, the words cut up.
I think it's a planning grant.
So, yeah,
It's a grant for culverts on our 3 crossings of Mtg2.
It's a grant
but this is
on
to,
planning,
this is to
the
pay.
planning grant for the culverts.
Yes,
It won't get the culverts put in.
not yet.
It's plan.
That's right. You have to have a plan in order to get
And
it.
this is for money to pay for somebody to write the grant, I think.
Right.
Okay, all right.
And it's land that North Coast Land Conservancy owns.
No,
No, it's
No,
named
that's
Coxsey
not.
Creek.
no,
Okay,
no.
because it's part of it, isn't it?
No, it's just the culverts.
Okay.
If you go down by the ball fields, they put in that new culvert for fish passage.
Yeah.
Okay, it's gonna be the same type of culvert.
Okay.
It's gonna be wide. So anything that comes in flows out.
So it's a different area than I'm thinking of, because I thought they owned everything from like roughly up here all the way up.
No,
The
They
Watershed
do.
Council doesn't own.
yeah, they don't. own-
No, I'm not saying Watershed does, that North
The
Coast
land
Land
conservancy,
Conservancy.
no, they don't own, they own pockets of pieces that kind of contiguously.
Like the
try to
wetlands,
attach. But
like the
they-
wetlands between
I think the
Pine Ridge
furthest,
and the highway.
yeah, the furthest south stops at about Bud's Campground.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense to me now. I thought they owned land further down. It's just that you have to layer into 2 organizations that are working on similar goals.
Right.
Yeah,
And just don't wanna find one that someone's already working on something that's the true owner of the property.
no,
And that's what my concern
it's
is.
not happening.
Can they get other money from other people?
Yeah,
Okay. I'm stuck on $2,000, give them $2,000.
I'm good with that for this one.
okay,
2,000 for a placeholder. Let's move on then.
okay.
So the regional food bank, they were not here. They requested 10,000. I personally had 5,000 in there, but I'm biased to even put more of it into the South County if push comes to shove. Does anybody want more than 5,000 on that line item?
no, that's fair.
Yeah, I'd say 45 or.
I've got 35.
I've got 4,000.
You got 4. Let's put a 4 in there then.
Wasn't there a request for toiletries and personal items and not
That's,
food?
that's the next one.
Or was that the next one? No, the next one is CASA.
Yeah,
No, CASA is the foster.
and that's the request for toiletries, toothpaste and stuff like that.
Yeah. And now CASA did come out and help us out last year, we had to clean up, didn't they? No.
CASA is court ordered.
Special advocates.
Special advocates
I'm mixed.
for children in the foster
For
care
the children,
system.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
no, that's, the CCA request was not for food.
right.
Not that it isn't important, but let's be clear, it's for personal items.
Toiletries, stuff like that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Now that clearly filters down, as he was describing, to the other agencies, but
Right.
it's also a larger area. You know, the South County Food Bank is right here in Seaside. And they're supported by the CCA, but they're also supporting all of the agencies throughout Clatsop County.
Right.
So they certainly deserve it, but if we're wanting to try and be hyper local, we give more money to the South County Food Bank and we give it directly to them rather than have CCA distribute it to people in Astoria or something. But I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I'm just trying to point out the differential.
Well, let's put 4,000 in there as a placeholder. Several people have had that or close to it.
On CCA, right?
On CCA, okay? So CAS is next. They were not here tonight. They're requesting 6,000. As we stated, it's quarter, special appointee.
Court-appointed special advocates.
Special advocate.
They are independent people who represent children in foster care system.
Right.
And they report to the court independently after interviewing family and social work and all that. They were saying in their application that it takes about $3,000 to train and support one court-appointed special advocate volunteer. And they would like to be able to have the funds to support 2 volunteers, and that's why they upped it to 6. I've been reading in the paper lately how dysfunctional the foster care system is in the state. And I know, at least in California where I came from, CASA did some very good work. And I don't know about here. And they weren't here. But my understanding is that they're doing kids who are in need of support.
I agree with everything.
This is an important one for me because if we help them out now and give them the help, then they don't become the people that need the care later. We're not, you know, so we.
But I'd like to point out, and I hate harping about this, but did you look at what they're doing for themselves? They're going $16,000 increase for the executive salary. $13,000 increase for the administrative assistant. Volunteer training manager is going up $20,000. Okay, this is going to just increasing their wages, basically.
Yeah, but what are they making now?
$50,000 for the executive, $30,000 for the training manager. You know, it's not much, but a $16,000, a $20,000 wage increase in 1 year.
And the training manager gets a $20,000 bump from 30 to 50.
Right. I just, you know, if you do it in stages, I can live with it, but when you give someone a bump like that, it's like.
But their rent bumped probably 1,000 a month.
And if they hadn't had a bump in a long time and all of a sudden have to, just like we went through last year with
Whatever
our,
you say, boss.
with our police chief. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can always tell the happily married men.
Chad, do we send out notices to all these people to come and do the presentation or?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's
Where?
part of the application process. We encourage them to come.
We mail up, yeah.
And so I really love this organization. One quick comment, they didn't increase in their budget volunteer expenses, they decreased it. Just a minor point, I like consistency in things. So I mean, if you look at to support volunteer retention and they actually reduced the budget for volunteer expenses. What story does that tell you? But CASA is a wonderful organization, and I would, I'm not advocating for anything drastic from what they asked for, but. There's still some.
I guess to Carrie's point, the executive salary is going up, the administrative assistant's going up, but the volunteer training is going down.
Right.
And that's what they're trying to get to.
There is a smaller pool. Everybody's been talking about the difficulty to find.
To find
It may
volunteers,
be-
so they have
that might
less
be
people, they have
the-
less people.
That might be the
work.
trade-off that we're looking at,
Right.
but I don't know because I'm not there.
Anyway, I just wanted to throw out that idea. Because it bothers me. those kind of things for an organization, it bothers me.
So what do you want for that, right?
Their benefits doubled this year from 12,000 to 23,000.
Right,
Everybody's did, everybody's did, that's legitimate though.
I had it down for 3,000 because of the wages, but you know, I'm quite easygoing, I take anyone's suggestion,
I
really.
had 5,000, that would be funding them at 80% of
I
that.
had
That's what I had.
I had 5,000.
5,000?
That's fine.
Okay, for now. Okay, Helping Hands is the next one. They did not come, oh. They did, no, they did not come, sorry. They're requesting 20,000. We gave them 5,000 last.
I think we keep the same 5,000. They're getting money from all over.
Right.
And they haven't even, I mean, they, you know, I go by, like Robert said there, you know, I mean, I go by there at all times, and I'm there at 8 o'clock. They just open the doors, just on the small building. They've never ever opened
Right.
the big building. They've, you know, they remodeled it last
Well,
year.
I made it a point to go by there and I never opened, period.
So this J Barber Center with 24 beds isn't even open.
I don't, if you go on their site, it says the 1st of April, they hope to have the big house open. But it's never been open. I haven't seen it open. In the last year, they remodeled it a little bit. But the only time I see somebody there is when I go to the Cove on Sundays at 6 in the morning. There's 3, 4 guys there having coffee and smoking and stuff. And the time, you know, morning and afternoon, they're closed. That's why you know.
Okay, 5,000 for now. St. Vincent de Paul.
I put them down for 5 because of what
So
they
did I.
do in Garrett.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I was there, I went there to look over the place. I tell you, you can't say enough about the place. The director's been there all these years. Very seldom the directors last 5 years at any place.
Right.
All the helpers, most of them are volunteers are from Gerhard. And like I said, they polish the apples and polish the tomatoes. It's a very clean operation, so. And they also have clothes there that are cleaned at a cleaner to give away. And they do have to, like I said, they have to buy their food from the food bank, and then they go to Costco and they get food from Costco, and then they buy certain things to put in the boxes, perhaps the meat or something, because they could put one protein and then all that in there. But when I was there, I mean, I believe there's more elderly people around that go there rather than go to Seaside or drive to Warrenton, you know, that live in the Gerhard property, so. It's a good organization.
Okay, 5,000 then is what I'm hearing.
So, you know, more than they're requesting, obviously, which is.
Right.
Yeah,
And
but
if we're-
they're also local.
No, I get it, I get it, yeah.
everybody okay?
Yes.
Alright. Next is the harbor did not submit the advisory committee for the Seaside Airport. Requesting 500, same as last time, and that is for maintenance of the shed.
It was a shed,
Kind of like the shed.
It was a shed.
Then we do have one Gerhard resident that flies in there every week.
I'm
Jack,
I'm fine with 500. I'm fine with that.
I'm fine.
I agree.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
500.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
are you're okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright.
And that's less than $50 a month.
North Coast Food Web, they're requesting 5,000, we gave them 3,000 last year, I think Robert's already spoken, he's got a little heartburn on the 5,000. Is there a recommendation from someone? Or
I had 4.
2 floors?
Yeah, I'll speak to Robert for a moment, but I think I see some value in what they do. You know, they're promoting food production and food dissemination. And even though they don't have their own building, they're not a pantry.
No, but
They're promoting small businesses, they're providing, it's a job creator, it's a food producer throughout the county, maybe not specific to here necessarily, but we're part of a bigger community. And I think I see value in.
yeah, well, when I read their page and then went over there, my concern was that the way that they put it together, and I didn't, the grant, I read the paperwork, that it sounded more like they were trying to be like a co-op, but also something like cash and carry.
No, but I don't think, I thought she gave a very good presentation and she.
Oh, yeah.
But she helped me, I think, understand better what they do, which even after last year, I wasn't quite sure. And when you commented to me about the other day, I wondered, what do they? But I thought she gave a pretty good description of trying to help promote both production of food and the dissemination of it, whether it's a restaurant or a farm to table thing where somebody's growing something, we help get that food to the restaurant, or somebody starts their own restaurant. And the concept that we have to be a little bit more food, what's the word?
Local, yeah.
Yeah, have some
locally
sustainability
resourced,
here.
Yeah.
In case we don't have access to food from elsewhere, so I think their purpose is
Self-sufficient.
worthy.
I think one of the things she said, which I know is true, is how expensive it is to have a commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
And
That's if you could find one.
if you can find one,
Yeah.
and if you are starting your own business, you're a small entrepreneur, getting access to a commercial kitchen is hard and essential.
Right.
The only heartburn I still have is the amount of money that we asked the same question last year, is that really how much you pay your employees?
Correct.
That's a significant portion of their budget.
I did ask about one of their clients, and I know one of their clients, and I asked him, because he was looking for a kitchen at one time, he found one in Seaside, but asked what he thought of the food hub, and he said, well, for him, the process of his exposure, their exposure showing someplace in Tillamook that needs a product, and his product goes down there, he doesn't have to deliver it, take the time to do it, they charge like a 5% or something like that to get it down.
See, my problem was that they serve businesses more than the local low income. That was just, that's why I think my question was, how many or what percent is business versus low income? Because if they're serving businesses, I don't know, it's just.
The point was that there were these are small businesses, these are incubating small, low income, these are small farmers.
Right.
And somebody trying to open a food cart, for example.
They're helping people become self-sufficient, so they're not relying on the food pantries and whatnot.
I understand that.
I'm good with 4,000 personally.
I was also, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was also kind of put off by, in their application, they used such gobbledygook, like,
They've got a good grant, right?
yeah, what is a business incubation? It's like, what? And then was food entrepreneurs, what's that? It's like, just tell it,
We're in California here, let me tell you.
And it's like, just like that.
And collaborational training, what are they talking about?
But here's the thing, we're at 30,300 now, and we have, what is that, 1,700 or 1,250? 12,500 left in requests to go through, so we can afford to do the 4,000 easily.
All right, okay.
And then still go back and pad some of the ones that we've cut.
All right, I'm good.
Can I make one quick comment though on what you said? So the Northwest Coast Food Web, it's very hard to describe, I think. But what they do is very modern in its application. So when you're talking about incubation and collaboration, that's just cut it down to just people talking to each other about how to try to be better businessmen. So strip away the fancy words to just say to yourself that they are working together to try to build a better grow businesses. And bottom line is, we as a society should support
small businesses.
I
They,
understand.
I mean, because that's where this is coming from. So I think, you know, sometimes you look at these grants and they're trying to be fancy in their language, but if you just strip it down, the bottom line is we're trying to help people who really don't know what they want to do, but they have passion to do something, and they're helping them achieve it. And it's food, and honestly, we need more diversity of food in our community, both from the producer standpoint and to the people who serve it. So I think, I just wanted to react to what you said in terms of the language they used versus the real purpose of what they're trying to achieve.
I did like the passion that she showed for her project. I did like that. She
Yeah.
was really into it. She was very dynamic and she wants to achieve vibrant community economic development. Be vibrant.
And she is planning.
She did.
That's not a bit.
She didn't write this, she did a much better job, so. And I don't disagree with anything you said, I'm
Thank
just
you.
trying to, because last year, honestly, when we looked at this, there were probably 4 different people who said, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I was,
I
I
understand
myself,
that.
it took me a year, it took me 2
Figure it
years
out.
to kind of figure it out.
But she had made a good presentation. She really did.
Okay, we're gonna go with 4,000, we're gonna move on. If we're not done by 8 o'clock, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. Sunset Parks and Rec District are requesting 2,500. They spent just about that much on their her residents.
Yeah, and
I think we should do it.
I'd like to see us give them 3,000.
Because,
I
you know,
agree with
Darren
that.
comes every year, he makes an excellent presentation.
Yeah,
They
no,
serve community
Towards
members.
childcare.
Yeah, that too,
Mhm.
right.
And the kids really do stand out. They look like they're having a great time. I see them.
I see them at the pool.
Yeah, and the kids are in, they bring their lunch boxes, and I think people there, I met our time follower.
And we weren't able to fully fund them last year, so.
Preston, Robert, you all guys,
So what are we saying?
3,000.
3,000 for them.
Scholarship.
These are scholarships for people that need childcare or extra care for the kids that they can continue working.
Or passes.
Or passes
For
for-
our seniors.
for some of
who
our
are using the
seniors.
facilities.
Yeah. So they can continue to be mobile, that's important for care.
And South County Food Bank.
Yeah.
5.
Start with that. Yeah.
Start with 5.
Start with 5, and back, I think we've got extra.
And the Wildlife Center is the last one. I personally think 5,000 is too much.
I said 1,000.
I went out there, Wina, and I went to walk through and tour and did all that. You know, that property they have is a donation and stays that way. But in their request, they talk about all the birds they get off the beach, and I tried to figure out how many we get on here. It's hard to know. Anyway, it's a nice facility.
Yeah.
You know, their big deal right now, they just maintenance, you know. Is they just need more for maintenance, and I know what their request was. But with that, I'm a type A, so my place would be mowed down pretty much. But then I think, you know, because Fish and Wildlife does not get involved with birds. So if you have a bird, you pick it up, and I've seen it on Facebook where people say, where do I take the bird? People say, well, you know, Portland. But this place, they'll take the birds and transport and move them wherever they need to go, and they do a good job. As to how
Or
much
they take them there.
they do take care of there. There's some that gets into different types of birds and different things where broken wings and stuff or whatever, they have other places they transport them. That's the big part of their deal, is transport.
I support what they do. It would have been nice if they'd come for a first, first request that they gave this presentation. I'd suggest something like 103,000 was tasteful.
I said 3.
I did too.
Sounds good.
Okay, where are we at?
Where are we at?
Justine, where are we?
$2,900 left to spend, we're at 48,210.
How much are we giving the North Coast Wildlife Center?
We gave them $3,000.
Okay, have we funded the celebration and the mayor's discretionary yet?
That's.
2,000 and
2,000.
2,100.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, both are covered.
How much was that?
So we have 3,000 more, we can,
3,000 that we can do something with.
So scroll, yeah, 2,910, you could allocate that some way.
How much do you think the dumpsters are gonna cost on July 4th? Check.
Probably a couple thousand.
Just a question.
West
on what
Coast
you
Land.
said. So two current requests or
To reserve funds.
You have left to allocate 2,910
Okay.
that I'd like to see pushed somewhere in anywhere you want in there.
3,000.
I'd like to, I'm gonna propose that we put $1,000 back in the celebration materials because we're gonna push for better cleanup, and more responsibility on July 4th. It's something we need to do. We need to get the dumpster. It's gonna cost us a couple $1,000s on top of the July 4th party. And this is Gerhard money. I don't begrudge them the July 4th party. It's something that everybody looks forward to all year round, and it's something that this community really needs. So I'm gonna say we take that back up to 3,000.
Why don't we give them the 910, and then it leaves us $1,000 to spread around with some else. It's almost $1,000, but it gets the
Okay.
910 off the books.
So 2910?
and at least 2,000.
No, because,
Yep, 2,000.
Yeah, we have 2,000 left.
so we have 2910, right? Give them,
Right.
yeah, give them
Give them
910, leaves us
910.
It
2,000.
leaves us 2,000.
Good job.
Okay, all right.
What are we
But
giving?
I would just say for next year, could this just be a regular line item in the administrative budget? Or in
There
the,
used to be a lot of regular line items in this particular part of the budget as well. We've gotten rid of those over the years. And then turned it completely into giving all the money away. And our general fund is getting cut.
There's $2,000 left.
So if I was to advocate for anything, it would be, you know, put it in the air.
so leave it.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, this way it's just, so this is discretionary that we can say, maybe we just don't have the money for it this year.
And I think that it would, as things get tighter, potentially, I think it would look better to pay for celebrations without reducing services and programs that are just
Yeah,
general programs and services. This is a separate revenue source, completely separate than the general fund. So pushing it in the general fund, if you need $3,000, then you might have to take it from the police equipment fund in order to celebrate Fourth of July fund. And I don't know.
That would be good.
but can we not put a line item for that somewhere in the general fund?
Well, you could put a line item in there, but you have to get the money
You have
from
to fund it.
somewhere.
Oh,
So
I
in
see.
order to fund
Oh, I
it,
see.
Do somebody else's budget,
Oh, I
yeah.
see.
This way here, we're getting it from somebody else.
I see.
Right, this way there's
Pass
a,
it through.
the state revenue share is state
Okay,
revenue
I got
funding
you.
that you're supposed to, you know, support your community. You don't have to give it to to the grants, but
Right.
they encourage you
Right.
to support local nonprofits, to encourage growth and just a vibrant community. So this is an alternative funding source
I got you.
that doesn't impact regular programs. and
Taxpayer
services.
dollars.
Sure.
Local taxpayer.
Right, a lot
So-
of cities do a lot of programs, a lot of things, but this is really the one thing we do for our
Yeah.
citizens.
And that's 500 for the yellow house and 500 for
Okay, can I throw out some suggestions?
Well, the mayor's got his hand up first, so
I
he's
had a
gonna
rear.
he's gonna throw a couple out and then you can next.
I said I would like to see 500 go to the South County Food Bank and 500 go to the Little Yellow House. Because with the South County Food Bank, we know feeds Gearhart and the Little Yellow House, even though they're getting what they're asking
Yeah,
for.
right, they should be rewarded
They should
for
be.
what they've been
Well,
doing.
they've been there all these years, you know.
And, you know, that's the only two things I have on my plate.
Okay,
Just like everything else, it can go away.
I agree with that, and I'd like to see you and raise you.
Yeah.
Just like that was coming.
500 for NCLC.
I'd like 500 for NCLC, and I'd like 500 for Sunset Empire Park.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with
I
that.
agree 100%.
What do we do? What? Have you decided on how much the mayor gets?
Yeah.
Yes.
he's already covered.
Yeah, it's right there on the board.
He's already
Getting what you
covered.
deserve.
1,500. I'm getting what I deserve all the time.
1,500?
Yeah,
So Sharon, I'm sorry, what was the second 500 for you?
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, yeah, okay.
Maybe I'll start being a little bit nicer.
yeah, right. Stop by more often, okay?
Is there any dissent to Sharon's requests or
No,
suggestions?
I'm in support.
I'm a support.
I guess other than Sunset Empire, I mean, they got what they wanted, a little bit more.
Yeah, they got.
I just wish that there was the, that greater integration of Gerhard folks using their services more often. I know they do, but it's invisible sometimes to us. So I don't know, it's just it's the separation between Gerhard and then the Sunset folks that I'm not articulating.
It's probably as good as it's gonna get unless we become part of the district.
Right.
You don't have to.
It's not gonna pay to do that.
Yes, it's not gonna happen, but I guess what I'm trying to get to is if they could better articulate how folks in Gerhard utilize their stuff, it makes it more comfortable to say, yeah, even though we're not have a direct relationship with them, and at least our folks are using it and we recognize that. I guess maybe that's better said.
But here's
I have
the deal.
several friends who use Google.
Yeah.
Well, they were one of the few that actually lined out how much Gerhard, received
True.
the scholarship, so I thought that was.
Yeah, but we're giving them more money than they asked for.
So what?
Okay, and they also have Seaside. I mean, they're presenting this to Seaside. And Seaside's getting a heck of a lot more money than we are.
Most of these people are receiving a grant from Seaside as well.
Yeah,
Right.
Sure.
that's what I'm
So
saying.
they're not any different.
Well, no, but they're gonna get. The percentage of people in Deerpark that use that facility versus the number of people in Seaside that use that facility is.
But according to the
It's like this.
document, what they asked us for this year, 2,500. That's how much they gave to Deerpark folks last year, so presumably, or one would hope that if we can increase it to 3,000, then hopefully they'll increase what they can give to Deerpark folks.
Right now, we
That would
have 3,500.
That's,
Yeah, we have 3,500,
So,
now,
It's a benefit. They do provide our firefighters with free swimming for their training.
okay, good.
there you go.
okay,
Yeah.
there you
There you
go,
go, Preston.
so.
There's your answer.
But hang on one sec. I'm all in favor of what people are saying, but let's realize, so on the rec district, they're asking for 2,500. And we had bumped it to 3, and now it's 35. Now, one thing we could do, I support them fully, but we could take back 500 there, give them 3,000 and give 500 more to the food bank. And make that
That's what-
We just did that.
6,000. No, over and above, give them 6,000.
Oh, okay, I don't care.
Like, just take a little
To
bit
the
from
South
this.
County Food Bank.
Yeah, give them extra more and not quite as much more to the rec district.
Okay. Or would you be okay with splitting the extra 500, give 250 to South
Yeah.
County and 250 to St. Vincent de Paul?
Yeah, I would be fine with that too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Agreed.
So that people are getting, so we're helping people with food a little bit more. Recreation is important. We're already giving them more than they asked for on the rec district.
Are we talking about the South County Food Bank? Are we talking about St. Vincent?
Both, we're gonna, so both now. So,
Increasing by
so the rec
250.
district is getting 3,000. And the South County Food Bank is getting 5750. And
that's-
St. Vincent's de Paul is getting
Which line are you looking
5250.
for?
And that's a better balance because you can only
Right.
go to each place one
Right.
time a
Yeah.
month.
Right,
So.
We gotta get those eyelids out of the way.
all right,
All right,
that's pretty good.
we balanced the budget.
No, wait, can we see the total now?
40,210.
awesome.
Oh, that's where we're at? Okay,
Good.
cool.
All right, fine.
Great, we're done.
Okay, our
15.
Good job. Are we on to the next piece? We need to take a break. I think we can, no.
We're
not done.
We have to discuss.
Okay,
We do?
yeah, we gotta go through the budget.
Five, 2000.
We can't ask them here. There's no public.
5250.
Yeah, no, this is the point, is to ask questions, she's the answer lady. That's the point, of this meeting. That smile over your. I appreciate.
Okay,
Fifty-seven.
you're really in for a second. Now, we're done with the state revenue sharing grant donation discussion. So, are there questions for the staff on the budget that was presented?
Yes.
And so let's just go around the table. Robert, do you have specific questions on the budget that we went over last month? That we're gonna hopefully by the end of this meeting recommend for approval.
I guess the only thing I had a question about, because I was sort of thrown off, was the bench. That was number 400 and something.
The benches.
Budget for the benches. That's the only one. I wasn't around when they meetings.
That's a program where the people that will be making donations, buying those benches and providing for the maintenance of those benches and part of that donation that they make. So it is funded by people that are coming in. Also, we have a $20,000 foundation donation to maintain the other benches.
So who's gonna maintain the bench?
Well, that's once we get some things solved with Oregon Parks and Recreation Department, it's gonna involve hiring somebody with a pressure washer that's portable to go out there and pressure wash them. And then Ricky Shea has talked to various teachers, and they've done 2 already at the park, and that's how they'll do the rest of it.
So the city won't be involved in maintenance and setting the benches and
We
everything?
will be, but those funds will come from the donations from people that are putting money towards those benches.
And that, so if something happens where somebody sits on it, falls off, that's our responsibility, because we.
Yep.
Wow.
And so far, so good. A lot of those benches are getting quite old, but there hasn't been much of an impact from those there. And I think that's radically funded to take care of most, if not all, benches. And then the committee is looking at putting 22 more benches in as well.
So are they looking for somebody to take care of the benches?
Always. If you're volunteering, I'll.
There we go.
Not volunteer, no, I was thinking of being a nonprofit for God's sake. No.
Just quick question though, because the point about liability, if somebody falls off of, wouldn't be part of the building reserve fund, that would be a separate thing.
Yeah,
That would be part of our liability
Yeah.
insurance, and we're already responsible. I mean, we are responsible because at this point, the parks benches are the city of Dearborn's. So,
And we can always condemn the ones that are falling apart, right?
and so our obligation is not that if somebody is acting inappropriately and hurts themselves, it would be if there is something odd, a stick that's not, sticking up or something, it would be our obligation to make sure they're maintained.
Okay, can't we put the falling off part under recreating?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
so.
you
Put a-
can't,
put a
you're not
sign up with
supposed to
a
be
sign.
sued just
Yeah.
for stupid.
Right.
But you get sued for that all the time.
Actually.
But the biggest problem with the benches down in the Dune deal and everything like that is that in the process of maintaining them, you have to weed eat around there, because if somebody goes down there and trips on the beach grass and bangs their head into one of those concrete benches, I mean, yeah, they're stupid because they weren't watching where they were walking or something like that, but you know damn well that the city's gonna be involved in a lawsuit.
Sure.
Just a separate thing.
So at the time that it's maintained, maybe twice a year, that somebody needs to go down there and weed whack around the benches. And you put, how many more in?
22.
Well, not all up there in the food.
No, not all of them. So.
No, some of the dunes.
Some on the trail, some here, some there.
Okay, it's 8 o'clock. I'm gonna keep moving.
Thank you. Agreed.
Counselor Devereaux, do you have any other questions about the budget that you'd like to ask the staff?
Nope.
Eric?
I do not.
No.
I do, only because I'm stupid. The budget narrative on page 8. The general fund summary, all departments. The question is, so I added up the pluses and then I added up the minuses, and the pluses came to 261,700 approximately. And the minuses came to 130,276 approximately. Does that mean we're basically above budget by about 131,000?
Over last year, yes.
1,000. Oh, really? I got it right.
You did, but it's not above budget, it's above last year, but still within the budget.
Okay.
That we have.
Alright.
Yeah.
Other questions?
No.
No.
None? I have none.
I do, I'm afraid. We're on the same page now, budget narrative, page 8, in the Parks Department. Reducing, I understand we have to reduce costs, reducing parks maintenance, repair and equipment. I just want to know what this looks like. What is gonna stop happening?
Part of the funds that were in there before were to kind of make sure, were to get the park project finished over there. We had a delayed park project, so where we put in the playground equipment. So it took longer than we'd anticipated, so it actually covered 2 budget cycles. So we had put funds in there to make sure that we had enough money to cover that. And so we're not actually anticipating reducing any maintenance that we currently do. We're not changing that program. We're just reducing it back down where we're not spending for extra.
A special project.
Correct.
Okay, all right. All right. Got it. Next question, yes. Just a general question on the State Street funds. You've got on page 26 and 27, you've got an increase in materials and services and equipment. Just, it looks to me like it's an increase across the board. I don't know what was spent this year, because there's only the adopted budget. Is there anything going on in the need that we should know about?
So State Street funds, again, is a special revenue source, so we get a specifically allocated money from the state for that fund. We do have our public works workers, which we charge some of their salary to it, but we allocate out all of the funds so that if something is needed, there is a sinkhole or a pothole, we have allocated or appropriated the money to spend it. So it's not necessarily that we had plans to spend all of that money, it's just that based on the revenue and the beginning fund balance that we think we're going to receive, we want to make sure all of that money is appropriated out in case we need it.
Okay.
In this case, there isn't a special project that was specifically picked, like pavement from, Pacific Way to Earhart Loop. It was just that in case something happens, we appropriate so that we can.
If you look at the resources, it shows that we did not spend $201,000 last year, so that came forward into cash carry forward. And so now that budget is growing because we didn't spend much money last year.
Okay. All right.
And that will happen again if we don't spend it down to zero.
And we
That money will go
usually
back
don't.
forward.
Okay.
I mean, we usually appropriate it, hoping we don't have any major crises, but if we do, then we have the money appropriated to be able to fix it. And then he has certain maintenance programs where he will pay 20 feet on G or 20 feet on Pacific Way. But those are kind of our general, there wasn't anything special in there.
Okay. I understand that, thank you.
Yeah.
I have one small question on page 33. The building reserve, if you have 150,000 in there, I was at the presentation by Klosh. They said it was possible that the initial design things from the architects could be as high as 100,000. Their fee is 58. If you have 150 in there, we'd be able to transfer in there something to cover extra.
Well, hopefully, they're on it's gonna take 14 months and this is for 12 months. So hopefully we would have some of their fees pushed over into the next budget cycle. So what we anticipate is within a 12-month period, not the 14-month or longer that they project might take to get the whole project lined out, that we would only spend 150,000. It's gonna cross 2 fiscal years. That makes sense?
It makes sense.
So that in theory, when we're doing this again next year, there could be $40,000 still left to spend, depending on how much more we need. We can kind of reevaluate, right?
Okay,
That's why.
all right. Thank you, I'm done.
Okay.
Good question.
Okay, I have one more question.
Go ahead.
So, how are we doing? I mean, are we gonna have to start looking at additional revenue sources for like next year? Like, are we gonna really have to start seriously looking at that?
I think that the staff is doing a lot better job of not spending a lot of money, although, you know, with new chiefs and things like that, we had some things to get caught up on. We are concerned, but we're not in a panic mode at the moment. Expenses have gone up pretty high. Just the increase in inflation and all of that. Then we've been working hard to try to be able to get good quality people as well. So salaries have increased. I anticipate that some of those things are going to continue and it's going to get tight, and the city of Dearborn is going to have to start talking about some additional revenue funds or removing some projects and some things that we're doing now. I say this quite a bit, Dearborn's pretty scrappy and we've done a lot of the little. And we're maintaining that with Justine's help and the staff's help. They've done a really good job of trying to hold down their phones, but yes, we will have to start talking about things. The mayor has been interested in looking at additional possible property. Bringing to the city of Dearborn for additional tax revenue. So that's one way that we can look at it. The fire department is taking a look at potentially starting to charge for some of the services that insurance companies would take care of, such as car accident and all of that. Police department, we could write more tickets, but actually that's a lost game because we spend it in the administration of that for the most part. But I think he's up for the challenge.
Ticket writing's going up as we speak.
Yeah.
We're pinning all our hopes on you.
So in general, interest rates are low. We're not getting a whole lot of interest on our funds, but that's starting to come in too. Yes, we are concerned, but we're not panicking yet.
Okay, I personally would rather not reach the panic stage. I don't like being in panic stage. I like planning.
Well, thank you for the summary, page 36, which kind of shows us that relatively, at least in this time period, at least for the relatively steady state.
Yeah, but you got a lot of stuff in here that you're saying is gonna go up, like PERS. Correct. Insurance.
One thing I remember from reading the minutes, because I have to just think about it, because I couldn't remember what it meant, is that Councilor Poole had brought up system development fee as a possibility. And so that's another, if you mentioned that, I'm sorry. But
I did not.
That,
But that is another-
I understand that to be an inflated fee.
Yeah, we are gonna have to look at, the cost of running the city is going up at a higher rate, to your point, is going up at a higher rate than our income is increasing. And so, yes, we aren't at panic mode yet. I agree with you. I think that we should be forecasting though into the future. This conversation should probably be a little different next year.
Internally, we're having these conversations, talking about these other sources and other ways, and we have ideas from what councilors about ways we can do that.
And I have a few things that I just kind of want to talk about. I promise I'll be fast. I won't take a lot of time. So I had a lot of really good discussions, and I kind of want to talk about some of the things that people brought up in these discussions, just because I think they're relevant and I think it just kind of helps. One thing that I did learn after more extensive meetings and talking with the Placer County assessors is the SIP actually will not pretty much have no impact on the city of Gerhart. It has an impact on Placer County as a whole, which ultimately does impact things like the sheriff and the county health department. So ultimately it is, but it's probably a positive impact because they get $40 million pushed right in for WANA into Placer County. So the SIP actually is not really a negative or a positive for us.
What's SIP?
It's the strategic impact plan, and it's been in the newspaper with WANA Pacific. It's a state program that can be implemented where they get tax breaks for implementing and improving their business. So originally, when I was talking to the county, they had given me the impression that it might hurt because that it wouldn't grow the revenue base. So I was afraid, but after more conversations with them since our last meeting, it will not impact us, I don't think. Had a really good question on the planning budget. There was an inquiry over the decrease. And their concern was just that we have more difficult properties that are coming in. They have a lot more oversight that's needed, a lot more planning. And this person was just wanting to make sure that we hadn't reduced the planning so low that it was going to be alarming and that we might go over. I think that we'll be fine. Chad and I have had several discussions about this. We have a new type of contract in with Garrett and Crest. We have a very knowledgeable department. And so I think we'll be fine. But I thought that was a very good question. We have an agreement with the Clatsop County Sheriff's Office again to provide dedicated contracted services for this next year. I think that it's really important that we have that solidified contract because we never had that before, and we have a police force that we know is not 24/7. And so by having an actual physical IDA agreement, it has an obligation for them to be responsive. I mean, we doesn't have a role in that agreement, but it should be more of a comfort to the citizens of Gerhart that there is active coverage and not just relying on somebody to be there or answer the phone call. These are people that are already on duty.
And to speak to that it's been renegotiated through some good effort to $3,000 a month, which works out to be, you're getting that full-time coverage, which would have cost us an additional person. I don't remember what we're paying.
120.
Yeah, and we're getting it for 36,000. So that's very, very,
So
very.
I think that's a new cost we've never had before, but I think it is a valuable one. I also had very good discussion on the rate of expenditures outpacing revenues, and Gerhart, to me, kind of was like, has always been the tortoise. So we've always been able to pace along, moving forward, but never at a really fast pace. And we've always been able to meet all of our financial obligations. But moving forward, as we grow, as we try to meet increased public safety requirements, as we try to maintain aging infrastructure, we have a water plant that was new that is no longer new, and it's starting to get to the point where it is going to need certain things to take care of it, and we can't really afford to ignore reserve funds. We strive to improve parks and protect public spaces, and we always need to enhance our streets. And we do this all, like Chad said, trying to offer competitive salaries and benefit packages to recruit and retain staff. Nobody left here. They had years of the same people, and they never advocated for themselves, but because they were comfortable and had just been here, but it's not the same marketplace. We have to look at that and adjust that. in order to retain people. So it is kind of becoming a financial crossroads for the city of Deerheart. And because when expenditures start outpacing revenues, we have to balance our budget, so that means we have to cut things. And that's painful and that's very difficult, and so having the conversation about alternative revenue sources, looking at what that means, being observant to overtaxing, because that is a problem. Nobody likes to do that. We already live in a community that has high property values. If we start outpricing everything, then nobody will be there. So we don't want to do that. And I wanted to just briefly touch on the water operating fund and financial stability, because that fund was in desperate need of increased revenue. Water rates hadn't been increased since 2014, and I assure you that every single part of every single piece of that budget increased. So there were no increases since 2014, and it literally ate that operating fund up. So unfortunately for us, we have to do a little bit of catch up in order to get it back in, but we're gonna have a really successful year, I think, because we've implemented rate increases. We have put some conservation blocking in, which ultimately should hurt us financially, because we should now have people not wanting to water.
Well, but it was modest enough that I don't know that it's gonna.
Hopefully that's true.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Because it's hitting higher, I mean, those users are high users, they're using it, so that's true. And then, we are transferring some money that we had planned, from the water reserve this year. We won't need as much as we thought with our increases, and so we are going to get that fund up, but we're not going to be able to ignore it. It's going to have to be continuously looked at and increased, with also the transfer to our water reserve fund, because things are so expensive.
Your savings.
Yeah, one thing is $160,000, filters were $78,000, and we don't have that without the reserve, so.
We do have it in the reserve now.
Well, yes,
We have
yeah.
over $1 million in the reserve.
Right.
But it needs to
And
continue.
you're pitching a 10% increase
I-
this next month, correct?
Yeah. And you say it will be likely, and I'm assuming it will be approved if.
It'll be a
because the need is
discussion in
real,
June, if
right?
you wanna come back to the June council meeting.
You'll be talking about the real need,
Right,
and here's what would respond to that need.
right. I would recommend that it be at least one more year of that, and then we as a group to decide whether or not is this a biennium thing we look at, where it's every 2 years? Do we do a look back and say, oh, well, we need to increase 3%, or do we look at it every year? There are other ways we can look at it, but it is,
I thought our mechanism was that we were gonna discuss it every year.
we
around
were gonna
budget.
discuss it every year, but we don't
And
necessarily.
some years we may say we'll say, yeah, not for a while, but someday we may.
Because my philosophy is, my goal is not to make money in that department, but to meet the needs of our community. That is not our goal, is to make that department rich. We just wanna be able to fund it.
Yeah, but when we've got an issue, types of things
Yes,
that we need to, with some deferred maintenance that we need to get on.
Yeah. So that was my thing.
Would someone like to make a motion to approve and send to the city council for adoption? And Justine has written out a proposed motion, if anybody'd like to make it.
Are you going to give that motion to the person who wants to make it?
Oh, doesn't everybody have one of these?
No, I've already.
Go ahead and read it, make motion.
I propose a motion that the Deerheart Budget Committee approve the 2024-25 budget, in the amount of $8,522,460,000.
Not 8 billion.
$8,522,000. Going too fast. $465.50, which includes a permanent tax rate limit levy of $1.0053 per thousand of assessed value and general obligation debt service, as well as approval of the Gearhart Road District proposed 2020-24-25 budget in the amount of $332,855 with a permanent tax rate limit levy of $0.0602 per thousand of assessed value.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Josephine.
Please,
We're not looking.
see if you can get to that. I don't know, it's fine. And then for next year, next year, get on hers. Yeah.
Thank you, Josephine.